A Christmas Eve, a silent night, a restless wind blows through my world tonight. Wonder and hope would fill the skies if I saw Christmas through a child's eyes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to JMC Create. My name is Jackie McKissick, and today I'm going to show you the cards I made with Hunkydory Contemporary Christmas. Now, I haven't put the inserts in them yet. I forgot to do that, but I'm just going to show you the fronts. So I think I made 38 altogether. So let's see. Right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I make 6 with that? Cool. So this is the edge bit. I've added some stars and some red foil card, a couple of banners and a Happy Christmas. That's that one. This is another slimline. The background card will all be from the kit, and the foil card or base card will all be from my stash. So this is really simple. I simply put the card onto the foil card, put the strip down. I had to split it to get it to fit, and put my topper on, cut a banner and put my sentiment on. Number 2. This one is a bit that was left over after I did the strip, so I used it as a topper. I put a die behind it, added some of my strip gems from the pound shop, and a season's greeting from my stash, which I have cut out 3 times. This is using one of my favourite edge dies at the minute, and I simply matted my kit card onto my card base and used white as the accent colour, and I've cut a navy banner and put my sentiment on and added red stars from my stash. This is an A6. I've used some navy cards, some foil card. I cut out a die background. I've layered my edge, my frame, with foam tape, and I've stuck my sentiment or my topper down flat, and then this is flat at the bottom. It's actually popped up there and then flat on there, and I've added some red stars. And this is an A5 card. I've added a tattered lace frame die from my stash. My frame is flat and my topper is popped up. I've used some of the gems from Poundland and added my sentiment and a few little red stars, and that was it. So this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this was my edge piece, and as usual I cut it down. It's 3 3/4 by 8, and then the mat is 3 7/8 by 8 1/8. I've added a Merry Christmas from my stash on a bubble and some gems. Okay, this is a 6x6 card. I've used my stitched fancy square dies. I've cut out the paper with it and the frame because it matched the topper perfectly. So I put a little strip down to break it up, and then I've added my frame on foam tape, and my topper is double foam tape, and I have foam tape on this as well, so it's quite dimensional. And I added some red gems to the poinsettias. This is another 6x6 card. I used a tonic dye on the card and then added the red foil card. My frame is popped up, my second frame is flat, and my topper is double popped up. I've run the sentiment down the bottom, it is topped up again, and then added some red gems into the poinsettia in the corners. This is an A6 card. I had a little strip of card, so I matted it onto the foil card, ran my gems down the side. My frame is flat, my topper is popped up, and my sentiment is popped up once there and twice there. And I've added the red stars from my stash. This again is the card kit onto some red foil. I've used my favourite frame dies, fancy frame, whatever you call it. This is the topper, which is popped up. My frame is actually popped up, then this is popped up as well. I've added some Hunkydory studs, I think they're called. And finally, this was a piece of the cardstock I had left after doing all those, and I didn't want to waste it, so I put it on some red card. I got my Lena Cuttle dies out, and I cut the outer one in green. I cut the circle in red, and the sentiment is a tonic one, and it is die cut 3 times. I have put gems in my sentiments, and this card was the last one I did, and one of my gems has popped out. So that was it. And this is the only piece of card. These are what I have left over. I had this little bit of card, I have this, which would make an A6 card. This would make a slimline, this would make a slimline, and this would make an A5. So I shall do those, but I wanted to get this finished, so I may do those in future. So 1, 2, 3, 4 this time. An A5 card. Gold from my stash kit card. Frame flat. The frame and the topper are on foam tape. I've added another little topper tag and a bow and a sentiment from my stash that is cut 3 times. Another A5 card, but this one's landscape. I've used some foil card onto the kit card. The two edge strips came together, so I've kept them together and popped them on foam tape. And then I've used the little toppers on some white dye and my sentiment, and I added some of the gold studs. This sentiment came in the Love from Lizzie Christmas kit that I bought. Another 6x6. This time our frame is flat, and we have twisted the second one and put it on foam tape. Then I've double foam taped the topper and popped on my sentiment on foam on a little white die cut and popped some Hunkydory studs at the corners. And then this was my edge piece, where I simply popped onto some white card. I added one little topper and a bow, and Joy to the World is a tonic sentiment from my stash, which is cut 3 times. I've added some little turquoise gems to match the turquoise, and I've also added some gold studs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my edge piece, which I simply matted in some gold glitter card and added a sentiment from my stash, which is a tonic one, and it is layered 3 times. This is an A5 card. I had this bit of card left and it didn't fit. I could have done a 5x7, but the topper just looked too big. It needed to be on a bigger card. So I've popped with the bit of card on some glitter card. I've added a strip of foam. I've double popped up my topper and added a Merry Christmas from my stash that is layered 3 times. Now this one I actually forgot to put a sentiment on. So the topper came with these 4 bits around the edge. I simply added a tonic die that I cut in gold and then out of the cardstock and put my topper on top. This is on foam tape and this is on foam tape, and these are on flat. This time I made a stapler card, one of my favourite frames that I got of Amazon. Some glitter card from my stash, the topper, popped up the sentiment at the bottom, cut a couple of little die cuts and added my 2 tiny toppers. And that's that. So 1, 2, 3. There's only, oh no, there is 4. There's a gem coming off. This is an A6 card. I've added some green turquoise. This is a, whatever you call that shape of die. This is from my stash. I've cut it in the green and in the white. Put my little topper on the side. Added some snowflakes and some gems. This is a 6x6 easel card. So I've done a black Sue Wilson frame, tarted lace stitch square, Lena Cuttle die, and one of the tiny toppers, cardstock onto black, Lena Cuttle die. Then the frame is flat and the topper is popped up. This little sentiment has been popped up as well. Sorry about that, that was a hubby wanting to know what I wanted for dinner. As usual, I said, surprise me. So, cardstock onto foil card. A tarted lace rectangle. Some red gems from the pound shop. My frame is flat. This frame and the topper are popped up, and then the sentiment is popped up again. And another slimline card. This was the edge bit, and I put on the strip on foam tape, and then I added the Poundland gem strip, some red stars, and that is so cute. So 1, 2, 3, 4 out of this one. So this is my strip, and once again I've popped up one of the strips from the kit. This is a die from my stash that I've cut out 3 times. I've added the warm wishes on white and silver from my stash, and that is job done. 6x6 cardstock onto foil card, and all these, the whole 1, 2, 3 pieces are topped up together with the gems running along the bottom. I've cut a little oval and it frames to the one I love. So this isn't actually Christmas, it could be anything. So there we go, cardstock onto foil card, tonic die cut in silver and red glitter card, outer frame on foam tape, inner frame flat and topper on 2 layers of foam, Alina Cuttle die and to a special couple. And then I only had strips of card left, so I did 4 silver, 4 cardstock, and then the same little Alina Cuttle die cut 4 times in red glitter card, and my sentiments. And these 2 here, this is a bit of this card from the kit as well. I needed to bulk it out, and then this with love at Christmas is just in the centre. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is my edge piece. I've added some dark orange rust card to match the foiling. This is a snowflake die cut out twice, and then my sentiment on top and some gems. I'm waiting for this pilot sitting in front of me to topple, and that was a slimline. This is an A6, and I've used this card the whole way through. This is actually cut out of a piece of the kit card. This is a frame from goodness knows where. This is a little bit of the yellow kit card again, and then my topper. This is popped up and this is double popped up, and a little happy Christmas from my stash. Another slimline card. This time I've used the 3 toppers. They are popped up onto this small die cut. I can't remember where it's from, but I've cut it 3 times, and then popped up my sentiment on top of that and added a piece from my stash and some gems. This is a 6x6. I've used that fancy stitched square die. I've added a couple of the holly sprigs in the corners with some gems. My outer frame is popped up, my inner frame is flat, and my topper has 2 layers of foam to it. This is then popped up once there and 2 layers there to keep it even. And an A5 card. Now this I sized to the bit of card that was left, so it's on the same rusty coloured card from my stash. This is think it's Centura Pearl White Gold, it's called, from my stash. This is the tattered lace fancy rectangle frame that I have. I cut a large banner and put my sentiment on it and popped it up. And the die cut is popped up, that is flat, and that is popped up. And I've added some little gems out round the edge. Right, I think this is the last lot. So this is my edge piece. I ran the gems along the top, added the foil card from my stash. This is a Christina Griffiths die cut with the bubble and some gems. Whoa, we're getting close. This is an A6. This is my favourite, one of my favourite frames, which is popped up. The outer frame is flat, and then the topper is popped up again, with the little deck the halls being popped up at the bottom, and some gems. Right, this is a generic frame die from my stash on using the same white gold card. This is flat and this is on foam tape, and I added Crafter's Companion Winter Blessings, which is cut 3 times. This is my nice fancy stitched squares with the white gold, the kit, then the white gold and the topper. The strip is just ran down to break it up, and then my sentiment is popped off to the side, and some gems to finish it off. This is an A5. This is a Sue Wilson edge die. It's got a fancy one that goes on top. Or no, it's got another layer and then a fancy one, but this just framed this topper, which is what I was looking for. So I have it on foam tape, and I have my frame on foam tape, my inner frame flat, and my topper on 2 layers of foam tape. And I had it upside down all that time and didn't even notice. And then May Your Days Be Merry and Bright is popped off to the side. And finally, this bit of card was left over from the strip, from the slimline bit that I did. So I cut it with my fancy stitched edge squares. Then the foil card in the next size, I added this purple and gold foil card from my kit, or from my stash. The ribbon is from my stash, and the Merriest Christmas is from my stash. This is cut 3 times, and I finished it with some purple gems, purple and gold. So I think I have only one more to do now, and then I don't know what I'm doing. Winter Wishes luxury card insert. Right, so those are the inserts for this one, and this is the next one that I have to do, and that's me finished, all 4. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you liked it. I'd love a thumbs up. I hope you're all safe and well, and until the next time, Jackie out.